or I can quit now and chase my dream. And then that's when it changed. That's when it happened. It's always that. You never hear a homeless person say, I was in a dead end job, I quit my job to chase my dream, and now I'm homeless. It's always it's not that. It's something else. But that's because that the people that are willing to go out on a limb are in this context, that you're truly in a position in a company with so many people that they treat basically every single one like they are a number or something like that, so that nobody ever really gets any kind of, hey, tell me about your life, that kind of thing. Because it's all just about like, do this, do that. If you don't do it, you're done. And that's over everybody's head all the time. So that kind of uncomfortable situation, that kind of pressure is detrimental. Like, that's deadly. I think that's deadly. And you should escape this type of pressure. You'll never be happy in that type of an environment, especially when, are you recording right now? Oh, holy moly. Well, you don't have to post that.
Yeah, I'll delete it.
But especially when the people, apparently, from what I've been told, were trying to get me fired. Can you believe that? Why would they do?
Oh wow!
Why would they do that? Like 25 people have messaged me and been like, we're with you. We're on your side. Tell us where you're going, and we'll come there. I'm not even kidding. And then the reason was because I actually cared, did what I said, tried to get everybody out early enough to see, like, go to their families, see their families. I did my best, you know what I mean? If I could help it, I did exactly what I was asked. Unless there was a good freaking reason somebody needs to go home, they can go, always. So, but maybe I'm 100% wrong. What I'm not wrong about is I'm happy as long as I can, take care of business. And this was the tie-in, and maybe you can come back in here. As long as you're sure you can take care of business, then chase your dream. And what I mean by that is, I know, because everything has always worked out no matter what. If I think back, like 20 year, 15, 10, like this, and think, man, at times I was like truly terrified of what was going to be next. And that was just like all the time, every other day. And I would do anything to go back to those times, because I know now it was going to work out. So I know now that it's going to work out, because I am, years down the road, already looking back at myself saying, you're there and it worked out. Trust me. So I know it's going to work out. It always does, always has. And I just got to make it happen, which I'll do. And I don't have to worry about health issues. Not like that. I guarantee you, I'm about to start running, doing jiu-jitsu way more, working and teaching, doing things that actually benefit people and, our lives, teaching people jiu-jitsu. That's it, man. If you're not, let me say to people that are watching, if you're not happy, then why not? If you can find out, two, if you can, then change it. If it's your job, do another job. If it's your girlfriend, then you got to do something about that. If do something about that means, hey, if I go for a 15-minute walk every day, I'm pretty dang happy. Then go for a 15-minute walk every day. So I could keep going on this forever, but this doesn't even need to play a role. Here's what I need to say. There's a guy that runs a jiu-jitsu YouTube channel, that a lot of these people will know. Jordan Preisenger, I believe that's his name. Talkjitsu. He's a jiu-jitsu competitor, I guess. Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. But I would say a jiu-jitsu black belt that practices the art in America, and an MMA fighter, right? Yeah, he's an MMA fighter. So what we would like to do is look at some of his fights and see what his jiu-jitsu looks like in MMA, to just to break down his game, because he said some rude stuff. He's a very rude individual. As you know, respectfully, we think he's wrong in his claim that jiu-jitsu has evolved to the degree that modern day practitioners are equal. If you look back and compare Rickson and these guys of the past, and modern day competitors compared to them are like purple belts. Make Rickson into a purple belt. So in other words, what Talkjitsu is saying is his game as a black belt is far advanced. To if Rickson was a purple belt compared to, he's like a modern day purple belt, and Jordan is a black belt, then this is the difference between Jordan Preisenger and Rickson freaking Gracie. Well, that's insane. First of all, there is not a gap. There is a gap like this, but it's Rickson up here. No matter what he thinks, Relson is up there too. He's looking down at Jordan Preisenger, not the other way around. And we're talking about skill. So we're going to look.
Is this a blend, though? Is this a blend of like being young and foolish, and then also getting mixed up in like this new culture where everybody is hating on, the old school guys or the gi guys? Like there's definitely a lot of respectful people in that camp that I've talked to that still that don't like hate on like the people that came before them, but then and there are like some younger guys that like to talk a little smack.
Well, it's a couple of different things. It's one is that the modern culture is that of just crap talking. Two, there is no more challenge match. Like you have to you have consequences for what you say. Not at all in America. The last guy that did have consequences was Andrea Galvon getting the crap slapped out of him, for which he did nothing. He returned no response except to walk and ask them to film and call the police, maybe. Does that sound like the jiu-jitsu people of the past? They can say what they want, but if somebody slapped Rickson or Relson, they would be fighting for a fact. There would have been a fight that would have been a very serious fight, and it would have ended when they decided it was over. It wouldn't have been like somebody break it up type deal. It would have been a very serious matter. So Jordan is
Gordon off of Andre.
Yes, yeah. Gordon still has the old school roots. I guarantee it somewhere in there that was taught to him, that he was taught not to put up with a lot of talk, and he was taught to not let somebody invade his bubble, and to, especially in this context where they're both top dogs, then it's not like just some dude saying, hey Gordon, then he would probably just like walk away. Who cares? But Andre has to receive an official response. And being this close, just jawing, required what he got. So that makes me think that Gordon probably definitely has been taught this culture. But the thing about Talkjitsu is that his mindset is that of an extremely modern day jiu-jitsu guy. Now he's fighting MMA, so that means he had to do the requisite like stand up and then close the distance and all that. But I bet $1,000,000 that it was MMA and also jiu-jitsu. It wasn't Gracie jiu-jitsu. He was probably doing both. I might be wrong. Heck, if I know. Let's take a look at Talkjitsu. Let's take a look at Jordan Preisenger and see if, in fact, he's up here and Rickson's down here. I'd be willing to say the chances of that is like the chances of me standing up right now and just turning into a freaking pinata, just like it's not likely. It could happen, I guess. Maybe we are in fact living in some kind of a matrix type situation, and the people are like, oh, this is it, dude. This is it. This is when we should do it. Let's blow their minds. But the chances are good. Chances are not good at all.
I know we watched that one fight.
We did. They don't know we did though. Did we watch that on the show?
I'm talking about that one where he's got like, I think it looks like an amateur MMA fight where he's got like shin guards on.
Yeah, we saw it. I know that you sent that fight to me, but did we watch that on the podcast?
No. So it's actually on his channel.
So we're gonna have just for people that are watching, maybe this can be a short clip. We're gonna have some interesting interviews that are coming up soon. A couple of podcasts that are going to be released at some point soon that are very interesting. We're going to dig into some very deep stuff. And just as a clue, listen, this is going to be a very interesting episode. How in the world does this play into this channel? Well, stay tuned.
We still need to record that intro.
Which one?
For the episode that you're talking about?
Oh yeah, I wrote a different one, and it was like nothing like what I was thinking. I started thinking like I need to do a warning. Listen, you need to use extreme caution listening to this episode. There's a trigger warning, and it's more about like if we don't dig into this topic, then we'll never get to the bottom of it, kind of thing. So yeah, we can do that. I wrote it. It's not popping up on my screen. Did you send something?
Let me see.
I'll check and see what's going on with the guy too. Do you have the YouTube pulled up? The YouTube, I said.
The YouTube.
Okay. Is this Jordan? Jordan.
See, the shin guards on. So I'm thinking it's amateur. But I don't know anything about Canadian MMA.
They wear the Hick James boots. Do some slap box. Henato.
So it catches it. Roll leg hook.
Look, that was a good leg hook takedown. Well, there's a lot of space being created that the bottom gentleman is not able to use because he's really covering his face not to get punched, of course.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of opportunity here for a guy that is familiar with jiu-jitsu because of the space. He's not really thinking. He's thinking of surviving the punches, and there's nothing wrong with that. You should survive the punches, but
Looks like he's trying to stand up right now.
yeah, there's a lack of understanding for the bottom guy. I think he's probably a good MMA fighter, but he's not really familiar with being in a position like this. I would imagine not too much. Jordan's got his feet on the ground. That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. I would actually. I might be heavy in this situation to drive his hips back down. I'm not sure. Jordan's punching from the back mount, so that's a problem for him. And the punches the body triangle is good. The punches are. My daughter. I'm not even. Man, I'm not going to talk crap necessarily, but the punches were weak. Very weak punches. These are on the punch power scale, 1 to 10, 10 being like Tyson full power, and 1 being somebody's arm is trapped right next to your face and they're just able to use their wrist. So this is probably a 3 or 4, which is nothing. Now his feet are back on the. Yeah, I thought so. His feet were back on the floor. He really wants to do that body triangle, and the guy's not responding. He's not responding to the control. So
he survived that first one. Survived that first round.
He did survive that first round, but that's why he lost that first round. For like the biggest thing at the end there is Jordan clearly wanted the back mount on the other side this time, and he had it there like ready 100%. All he needed to do was kind of rock him up a little bit, and he would have locked that body triangle. But that means his legs were not connected, his feet were not connected. So the guy could have put his butt on the ground, like just keep defending, and then just start scooting. I bet you a lot of jiu-jitsu guys that are listening know this escape, right? Put your back on the ground. Well, that's what we need to do here. If I'm not mistaken, Talkjitsu was holding and then letting go and punching without the body triangle. So for just a split second, there was no connection on the bottom and no connection on the top. Just like arm strength and punch, and the bottom legs were not connected. So nothing was keeping him there other than his just like, I'm just defending. That's great. We like the defense. Yeah, that's exactly what you were saying, Roger. We're proud that he survived, didn't get hurt, etc. He got punched a lot. They were very weak punches, but he got punched a lot. So that's a problem. But the main thing is that he's not going to win because he is simply responding in a way that is don't die rather than win the fight. This is MMA. If we're talking about self-defense, what we like to do, don't die, is like good. I'm all about that. That's awesome. And I support it 100%. And I will, if I'm teaching you, that's what I'll do 99 out of 100 classes. But if somebody is doing MMA, then don't die. They have to know how to do it. But win has to be in their lexicon. And He's not going to win by not dying. He's just going to not die. And if Jordan could punch hard, those punches would have stopped the fight. So that's not good for our friend here. Chances are that he's going to lose this fight. I don't know. Well, if Jordan Price wins, I can see, but this is why he's going to lose this fight. But let's continue.
All right. Round 2. He was kind of hesitant to throw that kick.
Another leg hook takedown. And another hold him in the mount situation. He thought about an Americana for a second. There was a split second there that he could have rolled Jordan. Could have did it again. I roll back. He should have turned to his side when Jordan modified, turned back to his back, and then escaped. The gentleman has heart and courage to be fighting, but there are a lot of opportunities that he's missing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how this guy's resume. We don't know what his skill set is.
He might be a phenomenal stand-up guy. He's posting that leg and punching, and there he goes again. There he goes again. There he goes again.
What's stopping him? So off balance.
What's stopping him from rolling him? Nothing.
I don't see his other arm. Does he have a underhook or anything on that side?
It's a free arm. He's just like this. Okay, now when he modifies, roll to your back and escape, buddy. Nothing kept him from rolling him just then either. Again.
Oh, he's out. He's out. Oh, no, he's got his arm.
Oh, Jordan. So
yeah, put the arm on.
Pull it back just a second.
Sure.
Okay. Go. He could have went here, maybe inserted that right hook rather than just try to put his foot on the ground and explode. Because what happened? He's tapping when he hits. He looked like did a Brazilian tap there. Okay. So let's see. Go back to exactly where you started that, and then be ready to pause here. There. Just a little bit back more, like maybe 10 seconds. Okay, so it's like Jordan starts to modify, but when he starts to modify, rather than put one hand on the ground and do the modification the way that we were taught, that he is just putting his hip all the way on the ground. And what the guy does here is put his foot on the ground and lift his hips like he's going to do a trap and roll. But when he does the trap and roll, he does it like the zombie kind of reach thing. And anybody that's done jiu-jitsu for a solid amount of time, when someone is stretching their arms, it's like that's all you can think about almost. And there's no way that he would have not looked at or thought about that or felt that arm just kind of like stretching. So there were a lot of opportunities from his perspective that could have helped him win this fight. It wasn't Mr. Preisenger that won the fight. It was this gentleman that lost it. And we could be I could be wrong. This guy could know everything that I said. And it's just that he couldn't do it for some reason. You never know until you feel it. But it looks like that he's unfamiliar. And that changes the setup of, like how good the other guy is. If the person that they're fighting is very unskilled, then they look very skilled. So I don't know, maybe they're both skilled. It looks like that one is very unfamiliar with jujitsu, and the other is exploiting the obvious, windows that any jujitsu guy would exploit, but also while making some critical mistakes. He's a black belt, and I'm a brown belt, but I'm qualified, I believe, to say what the heck is a mistake and what isn't. And jujitsu in fighting, Gracie jujitsu, um, the way that we learn says there were a lot of mistakes here, a lot from our jujitsu pal. So let's see what he does in his next fight. Does he have another one up there?
All right, let's see what we got.
Do you agree with that, Roger? That he's just not in that fight anyway. He's mediocre at best.
I mean, this is 4 years ago. I'd like to see a newer fight, see any improvements he makes. The takedowns look good. He was concerned with punching. I mean, I'm not sure if he's softened the guy up to go for because he went for the rear naked choke and he went obviously for the arm lock. It was kind of like in like a inverted triangle.
So I have a better question then. Do you agree with the things that I said?
There's no way of knowing how good this other guy is. The whole thing I'm thinking is, how is he going to do against like some of the high caliber fighters that we know? I just don't. I don't see him beating these really good grapplers that we know.
We can both agree we don't know how good the other guy is or isn't. We don't know how good he is or isn't. And this was 4 years ago, so a lot of things could have changed. But as far as the technical aspects of the way that was broken down, do you agree with that? There were escape opportunities. There were some control problems, things like this. I think those are aspects that are they're pretty hard to disagree with from a sport jiu-jitsu or self-defense perspective, because most folks would say you need to control upper body and lower body. The fundamental basics like that. Let's see.
I got another fight down here.
Let's see what we got. This is 4 years ago also.
Third MMA fight, so it says.
Make it go to regular speed.
Oh, yeah.
You would. Let me see. I know I'm going to disappear just briefly here.
I mean, the guy looks athletic,
Nothing was totally alien or uncommon in a way that it's like just hard to believe. And it's very good, like high level as heck, but there are other high level places that are entirely like self-defense jiu-jitsu, because rarely do they do just self-defense or just sport jiu-jitsu. Some do, for sure. We know them and we've been there. um, but Invincible Academy in jiu-jitsu, anybody that wants to go there and feel it for yourself, you're going to see that the jiu-jitsu that they're there is just as amazing in a technical way, because of the razor sharp, details that are being utilized. Like he is fixing techniques in such a way that the details get sharper and sharper and sharper until it's perfect. So I don't think that any school, new school, old school, this or that, really it doesn't matter. It only matters how good the technique they're doing is, and how much their instructor staff cares, how much the upper belts care about making each other better. That's what matters. So let's see.
You ready to watch this fight?
Yeah, let's do.
All right.
Pick James Boots again. Vasputin. There's some footwork problems. Clinching problem. My favorite spot. Exactly why. My favorite takedown. Was he knee on belly there for a second?
It's happening pretty quick.
The jiu-jitsu here is much better than in the first fight.
Which is a later fight.
Yeah, and plus the opponent is probably causing him to turn up a little bit. He's definitely got good jiu-jitsu. Really good jiu-jitsu. For sure.
Oh, he choked out.
Yeah. Good jiu-jitsu.
Rewind that.
Yeah, go ahead. Once he was in the rear clinch, it started to go downhill. But before that, there were some opportunities, but only a few, because of how quick it happened. Threw a punch and then ran.
Got a knee for it.
He got a knee. He thought about the collar tie. It looked like he wanted to do a outside leg hook there, but the rope was in the way. So he just started to turn the corner. The guy wanted to grab his head, maybe for a bulldog choke or something like that. But he gets rotated and sat down. He's on his side. Jordan kept his head low, but then he started to punch. His other hand is on the other side of the body. Then he did go knee on belly. So, right. So what happened here is the guy was on his back. He kept him on his back briefly. He gave him a little bit of space. The guy felt that space and he was like, oh, heck yeah, let me try to use it. And then when he used the space, then Jordan used his jiu-jitsu. So a little clever, advanced trick of, you're free to go. And then he goes, and then you're like, not so fast. Very tricky, Jordan. Very tricky. He likes that kind of back mount modified hip on the ground situation. You do that. Keep doing that, Jordan. Now he's thinking about an arm lock there for a second. That's why he brought that leg up there. But people out there, look at that space that exists on the bottom. I would recommend everybody get into these spots and just defend for like 6 months from there. Eventually you'll feel, you can't help but feel these escapes. Jordan ran his feet to take the back, but then because of the pressure, he started on this side. When he shifted his weight to the other side, he probably tightened the whole thing, and the body weight was causing an extra tight choke. So again, we have good jiu-jitsu from Talkjitsu. For sure, good jiu-jitsu, advanced jiu-jitsu. And the other guy, not as skilled.
Right. Don't you think, like, if you win these amateur fights, like, you're gonna feel on top of the world? So, when we run into the guy and he's decided he's gonna talk trash about all the greats and you correct him, he's going to feel cocky and confident and be like, no, I've blown through these other guys. I'm sure I could blow through even more people.
That's exactly it. That his jiu-jitsu is working well, and it's working well in a fight scenario in his mind, and probably a lot of people's minds. That's confirmation that his skill and his jiu-jitsu is fight tested, and he's a modern MMA guy who are way better than Hoyce and all the old guys. But that's not what we have here. What we have here is in Jordan's mind, I totally understand. The flaw is that he's not being put into a spot where his jiu-jitsu is tested.
So him being a modern MMA fighter is not going to cut it.
Yeah, the trouble is that the perspective is unimportant unless, meaning that you can enter an MMA fight and use advanced jiu-jitsu to win. And any like purple, brown, black, the higher up that ladder you go, the better you're going to do if you're athletic. Now, if you're, out of shape, jiu-jitsu brown belt that hasn't rolled in a while, like super hard, you're not going to do as well as somebody that is in that same category, even yourself, if you got into super good condition. So super good condition plus advanced jiu-jitsu equals you're going to do pretty good all the dang time, whether you're a sport guy or a self-defense guy. But if you're tested, put into a spot where you are not the big dog, you are having to bring yourself out of a hole, like dig yourself out of the hole, then you're going to have the type of jiu-jitsu that teaches how to survive digging yourself out of that hole. And when we saw this most recently was Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. That's exactly what happened. And I guarantee you that a lot of people missed that when they watched that fight. They probably saw the first round and said Ortega got his butt kicked like major, and that was one of the worst rounds anybody's ever had in the UFC and then come back to win. They remember that the earlier UFCs, the Gracie family, that's what they freaking built this whole thing off of. That's like I told you, the bones that make up the beast that is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and Jiu-Jitsu, just modern Jiu-Jitsu. So him losing that first round it really means nothing to him. It didn't mean it. The only thing he would have cared about is that the referee might stop it, and he wouldn't have wanted that. But if the referee hadn't have been there, Ortega would have not. It wouldn't have bothered him that bad to be on the receiving end of losing the fight. He knows that he can do that for as long as it takes. It might not look like it. He got beat up, but guess what? Him getting like put on his back foot, losing that round with the guy, Rodriguez, thinking in his mind, victory is like that far away. You can imagine he was like, I'm about to win. I'm about to win. I'm about, and then this is like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And then all of a sudden he's thinking like, wait a minute, I just used all my energy trying to win. And now this happened. It's just the newest, like smartest way to do the jujitsu that works in a modern day context. How else? We don't have long enough to make this happen. So if you do get put on the back foot and all of a sudden you're defending, then just defend. That's what happened. Ortega ended up defending, and he was like, never thinking, I'm going to try to reverse it and win this round. There's no way he thought that, because you can watch the only time he moved or tried to escape or do anything is when there was a definite opportunity. So he didn't use any energy. He just waited for the windows to open, and then he would go. This is the survival mindset. And that's why he still had energy. Why didn't Yair's jiu-jitsu exhaust Ortega? Why did Ortega's exhaust Yair? It's because it was created to. So our Talkjitsu has good jiu-jitsu, but it was created to tap out the other person. It wasn't created to exhaust, to outlast, to survive, and then to conquer. That's not inside him. It can't possibly be. That's something that has to be put in there, like slowly sewed into you by another jiu-jitsu person over time. I could say it right now to you, and not you, Roger, but them, and it'll make sense, but it will not be in your soul until it's there. I don't know how else to put that. Until it's beat into you, not with an actual beating, but in the form of mistake correction, you know, assistance, help from the instructors, help from the upper belts, people that are coming together to put you together, and you making that reality. It has to happen over time. Somebody that's scared to fall, you can't just say like, here's how you do a break fall, and then do it. That's not going to happen. If they're scared to fall, they're going to be resisting every possible thing you say so they don't fall. And they're never going to say like, if you say, listen, over time, I promise you're not going to be scared to fall. I'll get you there. And they'll say, no, I'm scared to fall. Absolutely not. I'm not falling. Well, over time, we can get them to the point where they can fall and break fall. No problem. But it has to happen slowly. And this is the point, that somebody has to implant that into you. This hasn't happened with Talkjitsu. So when it counts, this jiu-jitsu will not be enough. The problem is that people are going to say that's disrespectful to him because he's obviously good. You know, he's accomplished, got a good channel, a, a bunch of good things. We're talking about this gentleman saying that modern day jiu-jitsu is so far advanced that the best guys ever of the past wouldn't be but the equivalent to modern day purple belts. So, and not only that, then when I asked him about that, he said that, yeah, that's true, that he will smash wood, etc. Any of those guys, and specifically Helson and my professor. So it's not like this talk is coming from nowhere. The comment was in response to his video, his comments about the jiu-jitsu guys of the past. So it didn't come out of nowhere. This wasn't just like, hey, that guy's jiu-jitsu sucks. I don't think his jiu-jitsu sucks. I think it's really good. I think that he said something that not only is it not right, but it disrespects our roots in such a way that it can't just be let go. We have to respond. So the response is to dig deep into this issue. And when I dig into the situation, I I see a guy that has used his jujitsu well in competition, MMA, but not because the skill level is so high, but because the skill level of the opponent was not high. What do you think, Roger? What do you think? The issue with him and disrespect and, you know, the culture of jiu-jitsu is to not talk crap really about other people's jiu-jitsu.
Well, I don't think that's the culture.
Okay, go ahead.
I think a lot of people talk shit about everybody.
It's our culture. Maybe that's the thing, is that it's our culture not to disrespect somebody and their jiu-jitsu. And that's the problem that we're having here, is that's what he did. Okay.
Like, we'll have our reservation.
Yeah.
Like, I just, for example, train at 10th Planet. You're like, hey, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
you don't want
nothing disrespect said.
right. And you went there. So like if 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 we were in this category where we didn't believe anybody else had the answers, and that modern day jiu-jitsu or 10th planet jiu-jitsu or anything like that, that was legit and it could improve your jiu-jitsu game, then I would have been like, no, Roger, never. You should never go there. And the fact that you are there, just that just disrespects me in such the biggest way. Like, I don't want anything to do with you unless you cut ties with them. That's not the case.
What was
You
it? What's the term? Creonch?
Creonch, yeah, Creonch. I think the guy said something in one of his videos about that. Well, that isn't absolutely in my culture, the way that my brain works. It's a real thing, but it's a real specific thing. It's not somebody that goes and trains somewhere else. It's somebody that discounts and leaves their instructor that took them from A to wherever they're at, and then they went from there on with somebody else and them entirely. So you said screw that guy who helped me so much, and gave so much to me, and spent their time, taught you little secrets, fixed every problem they could fix. You just gave up on them and told them go screw themselves, and then you're going to train with somebody else. Well, if they did something horrible, then by all means, of course. But if this is coming as a result of you just wanting better jujitsu or what you think is better jujitsu or something like that, and you never speak to them again or have anything to do with them and just leave, yeah, I think that is a grande because they just threw their instructor in the past in the trash. Why? Why? I mean, maybe that's the line that people have the problem with is that they say you should be able to leave and go train wherever you want to, etc. You should. You should just you should give the credit where it's due. You should let people know where you came from, and you should every chance that you get pay respects to that person in the form of asking them questions, training with them whenever you can. If you have a choice, you're always going to pick them. Does that make sense? If you have a choice, you would always pick them because you are loyal to the person that brought you into the fold. That's just the way that I think.
Yeah,
If you don't,
because when you move to San Antonio, I was gonna stop training at 10th Planet. We're just gonna train together.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like the point here is that a creonchi is really specific, and you don't have to worry about being one of those or what that is or if it exists or not. Don't even worry about it. Just treat people respectful. If they did you no wrong, do them no wrong, and you'll be fine. No problem. Who cares what about the word and what that is? Just let the old people that came before you worry about that, and you just be cool to them. Um,
Something funny did happen today. Because I was gonna train with Micah. Let me get off these headphones real quick. There's like a delay.
yeah,
All
and
right.
Micah is your younger brother who is very big, like a beast, and this one of the top three strongest guys.
His hands. If you look at my hands, like he has like these thick, meaty hands that are like I don't know, man. It seems like the muscles in his hands are like twice as big as mine, and I got big hands. It
Yeah,
was crazy. It just looks like his hands have like extra muscles on. It's crazy.
it's like um, if anybody has ever shaken hands with somebody where you feel like they are shaking your hand, you're just like standing there letting them shake your hand. You
Yep.
intended to shake their hand, but they're just like that hand. If this guy grabbed it, your brother, they would feel like that. That's the type of guy that we're talking about. So that's your brother, and he just started training. You were telling me today. So go ahead.
Well, he had trained with you once or twice. He knows a little bit. So we were going to roll up to open mat because the coach at the 10th Planet affiliate that is out in Kerrville. Usually he goes in San Antonio and teaches. So I'm like, okay, cool. We'll grab gis, and I end up going with gi pants and just like rash guards. And it's like, okay, we're gonna do the trap and roll because it's open mat. We'll just go work on trap and roll. So I roll up there, and and we're like 30 minutes late because I didn't think there's gonna be class, and I guess he had class that day, but they're working on I missed some of it, but they were starting from a point where it's like so you have the arm, and they're like on their side defending, and you basically put your leg and kind of scoop that arm. It was more advanced than what I wanted my brother to work anyway,
Yeah.
but it ends up being like either a inverted triangle or a Kimura or kind of like this modified Kimura. And I was like, oh man, I don't want him to think about this right at this point.
Yeah.
Like in a couple of years for sure,
Yeah.
But I was like, I just wanted to do the trap and roll. And we did start at the elbow escape. It's just like, hey, there's a couple options from now, So we did that. And there was a guy that came up and was asking us if we're gonna roll. I was like, no, we're just drilling today. And I kind of like saw like the look in his eye, like, hey, you guys gonna roll like fresh meat?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you guys are not gonna beat up on my brother. He's brand new. He's at least gonna have an option from every position. I'm gonna just be like, hey, keep your arm safe. If you're in the mount, you do this or this.
Yeah.
If you're inside control, do this or this. So he's always gonna have an option. And then he can roll.
He's the thing is he's gonna do well if he was to roll with a lot of those guys, a lot of anybody. He would probably wind up on top and crush a few people just because he's so like explosive and strong. But eventually, at some point, he's gonna make a mistake. He can't help but to make a mistake, and he's gonna get arm locked or triangled, or they're gonna get around to his back. These things he can't avoid. It's not like he could explode and prevent that back take. No matter how much you explode or how strong you are, you're going to get your back take. So,
well, the whole script from Trap and Roll, right? Like it's like, hey, pretend your family is getting hurt and you got to get out of there. And he was so explosive, he was able to roll to his knees, and I took his back just instinctively because I lost it because he just popped out of there, and he ended up with me on his back, and he was exhausted. And so instead of me saying instead of the script being like, okay, let's switch and I'll show you how to get out of it, it was like, you know what, you were able to roll your knees and you ended up in this other position and you're also very tired. Let me show you a way to do that with very little energy spent. And then I did the trap.
That's it. Sometimes people, especially if they go, but there's a little second there before you're like, okay, ready, go. That if they go, you won't be totally ready for it, and they might roll to their knees. And that's exactly what I've done before. Is just stay on the back and be like, you went from an escapable spot and put yourself into a spot where you're about to take a nap, and whoever this is, and your family, you're not even going to be there to see what happens because you're sleeping. So you want to escape before there's a problem that you're not going to wake up from. Oh, well, you will wake up. The thing will be way over if they choose to let you go. Or maybe they choke you, put you to sleep, and then choke you until you're dead. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to die from the trap and roll position, and unless they're punching and kill you with punches or bang your head against the floor or something like that. But that's why we teach it the way that we do. That the thing happens like this. So that doesn't surprise me that somebody that explosive and powerful was able to roll to their knees. If you were rolling with some of those dudes that strongest dudes in the world, I bet you that they would be able to roll to their knees or like straight arm you and put you 5 feet, to the left or right. But it wouldn't mean they got out of this spot they were in. And besides that, we're talking about, what if you're there and you're already a little bit tired and you're not the beast that you are? You're a little bit tired, so that any energy you use is going to be detrimental to the outcome. If you're fully juiced and they're trying to hold you there, you're gonna have a better outcome. But somebody gonna kill your family, or somebody that's gonna kill you, and you're genuinely down there, your heart is gonna be thumping out of your chest. You're gonna be in fight or flight, so you're gonna be reacting by reflex. You're probably gonna explode and try to push them off and go crazy. That's why you need repeat the technique, so that the first thing that you do is the mount escape. You can't put, if I put you, Roger, on the bottom and mounted you with 100 different people, it would be hard for you not to try to trap and roll them. If I gave you like $20 and I said escape every single one, but don't do anything to do with the trap and roll, it would be like, oh,
That's a go-to.
Right. Like, I can't help it. I cannot help but want to do it. That's your response. That should be your response. Because this is something that plays a role in this.
On a roll with white belt?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just restart it and kind of slow it down.
I need to work on my foot sweeps.
So yeah, that's what it starts with here. Because so this is a newer guy, and this is me rolling with that newer guy. We're talking about your brother starting jiu-jitsu. Well, we're at an academy here in this video where beginners are rolling. So this is playing a part in this conversation, because it's an example of how you can still roll with somebody as a beginner and push and pull, play back and forth with them, give them genuine challenges, but not get too involved, too tied into the role, to make it get to a point where it actually matters, or where you need to win or something like that. Even if I was to get tapped out here, we would just keep going. Like, we would just keep rolling. Actually, to make it go regular speed. So, he's going to step right over to mount. So I gave him too much resistance, and then used that little knee bending. I don't remember what they call that technique, but some kind of reversal. So I'm on the top. I'm going to tripod, one of my favorite techniques of all time. And the reason is because, yeah, of course, I could probably use my other foot to just bust out of there, or something like, a little more aggressive, exhausting. But then my partner would be very tired in the first few minutes. He wouldn't be able to roll for long. So it's better if I try to be very technical, but I try to prevent him from doing anything explosive in any way. So if I feel something he's trying to explode in some way, then I'll prevent that, rather than rather than let him blow all his energy, I might do that sometimes. But right at the beginning, we want to build them, right? So that's why you prevented them from rolling with your brother. So you don't want them to tear him down. You want them to build him.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do here, is to just simply build him. If it mattered who won or lost, this type of roll wouldn't look anything like this. But that's why it does. That's why it looks like this. If you were to roll with him, or if somebody is training somebody new out there, or your friends coming to jiu-jitsu, like somebody new, and if you plan on beating them up, or if you plan on tapping them out to show them how good jiu-jitsu is, I get it for sure. Roger gets it. But you're not necessarily as likely to retain them forever as if you would be if you gave them a little bit of back and forth. If you ever train anywhere where you roll with somebody, we've said this before, especially when you're brand new, and you feel some back and forth and then you end up catching them or something, full lock chokes. You might have caught them if you've been doing jiu-jitsu or you have been really studying. You might have, but chances are that they're doing this back and forth to try to build you and make you love jiu-jitsu too. Because people want to keep doing. Why do kids want to go to the playground so much? Because they went to the playground before and it was fun as heck. We'll think about that. What are you seeing here, Roger? What are you picking up? It would have been so funny if you'd like this is the guy on top's an absolute piece of crap. It's me.
You know what? I don't see. I see a lot of you're not as heavy as you have to be, things like that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna let this position get reversed. So it's just very chill and letting him do his thing. But it's not, you're not giving it to him either. It's kind of like, hey, I'm gonna give you resistance. This is a live roll, but it's not a gold medal match.
No, no, no. And I believe at some point here, I just, for like a minute or two, I was like, okay, in my mind, now he's punching, which is, that's what we do too, right? Like at some point in the roll, we might turn it in our brains if it's a sportive roll, just turn it into a fight scenario where they are punching in your brain.
That gets me stressed out, man. Especially if like I am like stuck on the bottom against like somebody really good, and I'm like, oh man, I'm getting my teeth knocked out right here. If this was real.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay to do sport jiu-jitsu today. It's okay to do competitions, and it's okay to roll and not worry about punches.
That always bothers me.
It does me too. It's always on my mind is what it is that it never goes away when I'm in danger of being punched. It's like it will not leave the picture. It's just there the whole time. So I might be doing something where I could get punched. But suffice it to say, I'm thinking about it and I cannot not think about it, but I'm doing something else. But yeah, I think I am still doing the activity of winning the role as far as maybe, I don't know about points and stuff like that. Positional wise, um, it's still jujitsu ability versus less jujitsu ability. It's just that it gets pulled to this point right here. So it's really close. and then kind of fluctuates up and down. Never is it this person's jiu-jitsu is maybe here, well, you put yours here, but then you also use as much strength and energy as you can. Then you're just beating the person up and trying to win the roll. Like I said, man, people can beat people up and win rolls all day, and we do, and we want to win, and we know exactly what that is. But you're not
like going to like an unfamiliar place and you don't know these guys. Like you can kind of feel a little pressure to like give it a little gusto.
Yes, we feel it. We understand. We get it. But you're not going to keep them forever if your goal is to beat them up. So I'm going to turn it into self-defense now. So watch at any moment. Classic Gracie guard here, hand in the collar. At that angle. Maybe I was wrong. But I turned it into.
I don't think they were. I think it was very odd that me and my brother rolled in there with gi pants on.
Well, I've never, maybe once or twice, jiu-jitsu over the 20-something year period, and not wore gi pants.
I don't think I've ever seen you in MMA shorts.
Nah, no way. Do you see that? My
white pants too, so it wasn't like we're wearing black pants.
Did you notice that there, Roger, that I did that trap and roll, but as I got to the midpoint, I landed on my side and then just stayed there. So I wanted him to modify, go back a little bit more. Wasn't it, or is this it? Or were you right? I'm sorry, I don't know if you're right or not. But I lifted, got halfway, yep, and then watch hip escape out. Boom, make a little bit of space so the arm lock fails, and I can escape it more easily. So this is I'm gonna try to use my jiu-jitsu brain to. Oh yeah, look at that guy. What is that? That's a Wookiee. But what I was saying is I'm trying to use my jiu-jitsu brain to make the challenge a different challenge than one where we have to win and lose. So he knows a little bit of technique. I want to try to mess his technique up and then let it work, and then mess it up and let it work. And I'm about to say something to the camera for some reason. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, look, watch this. Yeah. What was that?
Whose kid is that?
I don't know. I saw that he got a blue belt though.
Nice.
Yeah, he was doing okay. He was doing good. The point being that this is an example of although much smaller, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether the person wins or loses, or you win or lose. If your goal is to keep them forever, to make them love jiu-jitsu, then you should do it a different way. You can't care for your own jiu-jitsu, well, I don't want to say your own jiu-jitsu journey. You can't care for winning and losing more than you care for them sticking around forever. That's the best way to put it, that you just have to be willing for your students, and especially your students that you're training, one-on-one. You've got to be willing for them to beat you. Because if that is the case, then you're genuinely trying to make them better. If you're genuinely trying to make them better, then at some point they're going to beat you. If you're giving them the techniques, if you're giving them the techniques that they can beat other people with, but not everything to be able to beat you with, then are you honestly giving them the best jujitsu that you can?
It's incomplete.
Yeah. You you just have to be honest with yourself. You got somebody new, you want them to be a student forever, then treat them like you do. Otherwise, just tell them the truth. I want you to train forever, but I'm not going to take it easy on you, and I'm not going to teach you everything. So I'm going to half ass it. And if you're good enough with that, then I'll train you. With that,
A lot of guys.
what's that?
Don't you think it's a lot of guys will save some of that for the back? They'll put that in their back pocket, a few moves.
I know for a fact that's the case. I know for 100%. Not only is it the case, I would say most every time ever, I would say 99.99% of people that learn jiu-jitsu from somebody else don't get everything. There's something that they're keeping to be able to always show you who's boss. If they aren't, then they truly care for you more than themselves in their jiu-jitsu journey. That much is true. If you care for your students more than you care for yourself, you'll give them everything that you can possibly muster, and they'll beat you, and so be it. But then your students down the line are going to be better and better and better and better. And that came from you. So isn't that's more powerful than you tapping every one of your students, is that every one of your students is better than you, and then every one of their students is better than them. I mean, like 100 years or 1,000 years of that, and they're going to be like computer generated jujitsu warriors. That's what needs to happen. So
We're gonna be training robots. I got trained by a robot.
boom, 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 boom. There it is. That's me, by the way. That's me. So
It's spot, man.
it is. It is a good spot.
Time for bed.
For me, I'll probably stay up all night.